Coimbra.
Coimbra.
Exactly. Game about a Portuguese city. It's somewhere between Lisbon is the south, and then Porto's in the north, and then this is somewhere in between. I think we're sort of in the Renaissance era. There's a lot of exploration going on. And what did you? And it's dice placement game with these cool little holders.
And my favorite part about the holders is
they have a very satisfying snap. Yes.
and they fit in perfectly.
And the game, of course, the main talk about it is that the dice have one roll. One roll. They have one roll in the buying phase, and then a different roll in the income phase. So, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
So, yeah, I guess. So, in the buying phase, you will get the number on that's facing up, in this case, a 5.
And then you would have to spend 5 of either shields or coins, depending on what you want to buy. Military,
Shields
guards.
easier.
I think they call it guards in the game.
Yeah. But then you could either spend 5 of either, depending on what the card is asking for, and then you get that card in your supply. And if it was this die in the later phase, since it was orange, I would look in the orange track, and since I'm at the 7 mark, I would get $7.
So depending on where you are on the track. So you're thinking about not only how much can I spend, but then what do I get later on, because at the very end of every round, you get to do an investment in one of the voyages, explorations, and those also can have either a guard cost or a monetary cost. And the higher numbers go first for most of the buying.
Except the castle.
Except the castle. There, the low numbers get you a benefit, and there you have to think about what castle you want, because
You just have to get their lower number first, because someone else might take the castle that you want, is because that happened to me a lot. Because I went there like a total of 3 times in the game, and 3 times I took my second choice.
Oh, so 3 times you got the other thing that you wanted. The cards themselves
Have good artwork.
really nice artwork. The only thing in a game that is produced this well and this deeply is, although the art is beautiful and the board has this nice, not too pastel look, is that one area that I think they skimped a little bit on is the fact that many cards, or not many cards, each art is applied to different cards. So it's not the same guy in a different pose or the same guy in a different situation.
It's the same art, just different card.
So, if you're playing this game a lot and you see a guy come out, in a lot of other games, I feel that if you see something come out, you immediately go, oh, that's this thing, I want that.
You have to read the card.
Right, this one, yeah, you have to figure out, well, which one of these guys do we
Which
really
one
need?
is that? And then it's like 3 in the same row, so it's like...
Yeah. One part of the game that I will stress is that knowing when certain cards are going to come out is critical to understanding what a strategy is going to be. There's level 1, level 2, and level 3 cards. Level 1 cards come out at the beginning of the game, and then you get to choose a pair, which will give you sort of an opening strategy of what to go for. Then in the level 2 cards, there's a lot of endgame benefits that you won't see at level 3. So that reminds me a little bit of that game, Valley of the Kings, where you know certain cards are going to come out, but you just have to plan on it and see if you can direct your strategy in that direction. But in terms of the positive aspects of the game, I love getting the die rolls and then trying to get a card that's could be used for end-game benefits, in-game benefits, immediate benefits. They will allow you... Here, I'll show what the board looks like.
So here we have the board of Coimbra, and these are the different tracks you can see, and see how I would get $7, 10 shields, and 2 points.
And you also have to think about which area you want to go highest in, because there's going to be some end-game points as well.
Because the gray seems to be going towards military guards. The orange goes for money. The purple goes for movement, and the green goes for points. And the movement is actually a very important part of the game, is where you can see how each of the circles is 1 movement. And like if I've got 2 movement, I can go 1, 2, and then place a token or disc there and get that benefit either during the game, right then, or in game.
Yeah, and this particular one is an endgame one. There's also diplomas on some of the cards. I'll show some of the diplomas. There we go. So
Red
here's a
diploma.
diploma. And if you get a set of 5, so there's a little bit of set collection. I don't think about the diplomas too much during the game.
And there's 5 different types, and if you get a total of 5 different ones, including the random ones, which I got, because I actually ended up having 3 wild and 2 actual color diplomas, so I got the full 12 points.
Yeah, so if you can get all 5, or you can start a second set. In the landmass, you start in the middle, and then you can go out on these roads to various monasteries.
And the blues are the easiest to get to.
Yeah,
Grays are a little bit harder, and the purples are almost impossible to get to.
yeah, and you have to get to them at the right time. Like if you got to this purple,
You probably want
you
to.
you want to
You want to be winning in one of them.
right, because otherwise you go to these very distant
And then
lands.
like this one, like if you go you have to go tiny little spaces, and if you want to get to the next purple, you have to go all of those and then get out.
That'd be a very big. And there's only 4 rounds in the game, and so you're getting cards in different lanes, and the lanes themselves don't really have that much of a difference. It just gives you different choices. Or you can go to the castle to get 1 bonus in the middle of the game. One of the things I feel is a little bit of disconnect for me is the sense of exploration.
Is because you could just invest and then you automatically get it.
Yeah, you can invest at the end of every round. You get to invest in one of these cards, and they, okay, they have different place names, and I get that that's historical, and I like things that are historically accurate in games. But it doesn't seem like why is one. Well, if I go here, I get 2 points at the end of the game for every green card I have. This one I get for every monastery in Brazil. And the sense of exploration, I almost felt like maybe, just thinking out loud, like if as the game was progressing, only certain cards are available, and then when the ship sails, you don't get invest.
And then another idea that I had was if you flip all of the cards over and just invest blankly, so because you don't know what the ship is actually going to find.
Right, that's a little bit more thematic. So then you might invest in something,
And it might get you 0 points.
and yeah, you might be not
or it
getting.
might get you 20 points.
Right, so this idea of discovery, which is part of
not
exploration,
in the
is
game
not
at
in the
all.
game. I do like moving around the board. It reminds me a little bit of Orleans, that idea that it's not really hard to get from one place to the other too much, but this one's interesting in the fact that you gain different benefits. The way that the tracks and buying work, that to me is the real gist of the game. The one thing that you have to really think about, I think,
die.
color die, the beginning benefits that you get, because everyone gets 2 cards in the beginning of the
You have
game.
to definitely think about those.
Yeah, and you have to remember that you have those things, and it kind of gives you an opening strategy. One player in our last game kind of forgot one of the benefits.
Because they had 2 cards that every time you bought a certain color card, she would get points. And she forgot about that, so we had
Yeah, and that changes
And it
then
was
what you
like-
can get later on. If you're always getting points or
hey,
money.
hey, if I get another dollar, I could have bought this. But
Exactly. And yeah, the money can get really tight, so be conscious of that.
Because I was focusing a lot on the shield section, and I actually quickly got to 20 shields and stayed there for a while.
Right, your shields were always positive. Money was a little bit more nervy
I
for you.
had a decent amount of money early game, but as the game went on, I got less and less.
But overall, as we could see from the board, you won by about 5 or 6 points. And points are, during the game, points seem to be very rare. It's at the end of the game that suddenly everything ramps up.
Because we all had 20 points, and then at the end of the game, we got 119 points for winning.
Right. So to me, that means that during the game, you may think one person is leading, but
they're
you
not.
don't really know. So that avoids the idea that you're attacking or trying to take away
the
from one
leader.
person, the leader, or that you can try to allow someone else into the game because you think, oh, well, they're so far behind, it doesn't matter. I'll allow them to get some point. Because in this case, you were behind, I think, for most of the game.
Because I had only 11 points, and each other player had 20 or 30, and I won.
Right. It was from having these voyages and playing.
Because I invested in 5 out of 6 voyages.
Right, and I only invested in 3. I just didn't have the resources to do it. I tried to get points more by doing other things. Anyway, you played your cards right. So overall, where are you in the rating of this game?
Or that's actually a little tricky because there's different things that would imply. I like the idea of drafting die to get the various cards. I like how you can move cubes on the board to see how much resource you have and that it maxes out. But then the double art thing is a little bit of a drawback.
Minor drawback for me.
Yeah, minor.
Drawback for
And
me.
then I like the center move. So I would most likely give this game 8.5.
Okay, I was between 7.5 and 8. What if? Do you feel like we can
8?
go on 8?
8.
8 it is. That will be our rating for the game. This was a quick and easy review of the game.
Coimbra.
A little postscript to the review. We did an unboxing of Coimbra a couple weeks ago, and one of the things that we thought was going to be totally wonderful was the insert. Oh, look at how much time and effort they gave into this insert. They gave little pictures and little slots for everything, and everything entered really nicely. However, after learning the game, and even though it looks really nice in the box, the insert is nothing that I'll be keeping.